You know the Road Warriors? Like the wrestlers?
Yeah.
Dude, just get like a little tiny mohawk like that with your fucking beard, bro. That would be titties. Oh my god, that'd be so dope. What is up, guys? It's the Adventuruss podcast. I'm Kyle. He's BMAC. The draft is right around the corner, 6 days now. So we are here today doing our mock drafts. We don't really know what we're doing, but we have some clue, and we are going to let you guys know what we think that some of these teams, which seem to get it wrong more often than not, should probably do. And yeah, if you guys don't know, on our Instagrams, we've posted, and Facebook for me also, that we are doing a contest. We are currently partnered with Raise Energy Drinks. They are fire. They are great. They are super good. They got all the caffeine, all the vitamins. We're doing a giveaway. Send us your mock drafts for the upcoming NFL draft. The top 20 picks is all you need, so you don't got to get real crazy and kind of grasp at straws toward the end of the first round. Just send us your top 20 and make sure you go follow us on Instagram and DM us your picks. Like, just take a picture, send it to us. You can write it on a napkin, write it on your kid's back. You could do whatever you want. Just make sure that we get them.
Out ranch?
Yeah, that would be gross because I hate ranch, but it is also a medium of writing. So if you want to just send us that stuff any way you can, you will be entered to win a case of Raise Energy. So, I mean, that's it. All you have to do is guess 20 guys, follow us on Instagram, and send it our way. So, yeah, so we've kind of been breaking down the teams as we go, but not that we ran out of time, but we both kind of just got a little excited looking at this and the prospect of us doing this.
I think it's also kind of like, this is one of my favorite parts about fantasy football, is doing the fantasy football draft.
Yeah.
And doing this is kind of like a way to do that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm kind of giddy about it.
I had a lot of fun. Yeah, me too.
So the way we're going to do this is, since it's just the two of us drafting, I'm taking all of the AFC teams, and BMAC here is taking all of the NFC teams. And obviously some teams don't have picks in the first round, like Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Houston, the Rams, and I think that's it.
The Bears,
yeah. So in order to even that out, the Jaguars and the Dolphins both have, I think, 3 picks each. They both have multiple picks. I know Miami has 3 because I have Miami, but I'm giving BMAC the Jaguars so that he isn't left out. And now it seems like I have less picks than he does. So it's whatever. I'm a kinder soul than most people think. Either way, let's get this started. Like I said, I have the AFC. Super easy first pick overall. Joe Burrow. The dude was a fucking monster last year. For them to not pick this guy with the weapons they have between AJ Green, Tyler Boyd, Mixon, I mean, Joe Burrow, he threw for almost 6,000 yards. What was it, like a 76% completion percentage?
Ridiculous.
60 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. So you can basically count the amount of mistakes the dude made on 1 or 2 hands. I think far and away he's the top overall pick for quarterback anyways, and that's what this team needs. It seems like they've been loyal to Andy Dalton for a long time, and I think now it's time to turn the page. It's a new regime, no more Marvin Lewis. Get Joe Burrow in there and just let him work. I know some people have said he's a little old, this and that, blah, 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 but he is definitely the most finished product as far as get him in there and let him play kind of guy as far as what's available. So for me, it's a no-brainer. Don't trade out of the pick, for the love of God. Just don't overthink it. Don't overmanage. We've said it before, like when we've broken the teams down. Just get your guy and just get the fuck out. So Joe Burrow, number 1 overall.
I agree. I think that's the pick. I think the only way it doesn't happen is if he pulls an Eli Manning and says he doesn't want to play there, in which case I don't know where else he would go. Someone that's obviously going to trade up. Maybe the Chargers get lucky and go that route again. I don't know, but I think he's going to be the number 1 pick for sure.
I think too for him, like how you can't really get much more of a middle finger as far as toward the Buckeyes than going to LSU, a team that beat Ohio State before in the national championship, winning the national championship with LSU, and then coming back to Ohio to do your pro thing And if he thrives, I mean, it's just going to be a constant reminder for Ohio State. Like, yeah. I mean, Dwayne Haskins wasn't a bad choice, but I mean, they stuck with JT Barrett instead also. So I mean, I was never very big on Barrett. So either way, I think that kind of leads us into pick number 2 for you as far as the Buckeye talk.
I think it's another given pick. I think it's going to be Chase Young to the Redskins. It just makes sense. He's overall the best player in this draft.
He's a freak. He's a freak. He's barely 21 too. It was just his birthday.
Yeah, I mean, the dude's a freak. He can do it all on that line. He gets after the quarterback. And last year when Bosa was out, you didn't really notice it that much because Chase Young was so good, right?
Mm-hmm. As far as Ohio State goes, yeah.
Yes, as far as Ohio State goes, you didn't notice it much because this guy is that good. I think you put him on a Redskins team that has a new defensive-minded head coach coming in Ron Rivera. I like that pick for them. I hate the Redskins, but I like that pick.
I love it. I'm really excited. I think it makes a lot of sense. They have a lot of first-round talent on the defense. Their offense is a little dumb. Like, they had a really bad offense last year, so their defense needs to be good. But, I mean, they got Montez Sweat, they got Kerrigan. Like, they have a lot of first-round talent players there. I mean, Kerrigan's obviously a little older, but like you said, with Rivera coming in, man, it's exciting to see what he can do with this young guy. So, zero argument on my end.
That defense was really good the last 2 years. I mean, it's got talent, and they were really good. It's just the offense was that bad. So, yeah, I like that pick. What do we think at number 3?
At number 3, I think, is a Charger, and that's kind of my pick there. So, I'm going to come knocking on your door. What's up, man? What's how much you loving that Jeff Okudah guy? Like, you want to trade out of that pick or what?
I like him, but yes, I would like to trade back. I want a second, maybe third round pick extra.
I think I can swing that. We don't really need a lot. We'll maybe do like a third round pick this year and a third round pick next year.
Oh, deal.
So, this is what I think will happen. Like I said, this is what I think that what they should do. What I would personally do here, and I talked to you a little bit about it off the podcast. I think it'd be super dope for the Chargers to stay put because they say they like Tyrod a lot.
We said we like him a lot. We like Tyrod on this podcast.
Yeah,
we mentioned it last time. We like him. He's got talent around him. A good offensive line that they put money in. Some good skill positions. A good defense. Give the man a chance.
Yeah, please. I agree. So what I think they'll do is trade up to 3, and because the team is looking to win now, because of all the things we just listed, I think that the sexier pick is obviously going for Tua.
Yeah.
I think he has bigger upside, but the safer pick with the team that they have around him, if this team has, a quarterback, if Tyrod doesn't work out, Justin Herbert could slide in there. He's healthy. He'll make a few throws. He's got a lot of weapons around him. And I think that him at number 3 is what they might do. I know a lot of people are saying that the Chargers really, really like Herbert. So if that is the case, I don't understand why they wouldn't trade up and just go get their guy if they're a team that's looking to win right now.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. And I think when you look at it from the Lions standpoint, what we mentioned, they traded away Darius Slay. And you're not a number 3 pick corner away from contending in not only the NFC or the NFL, but the NFC North. Like, you're not contending next year. So why are you taking the cornerback at number 3, or just taking the cornerback at number 3, when there's 2 teams at 5 and 6 who, well, you don't know, but we're pretty sure that both those teams want to take a quarterback. Why not use your leverage there and help your team further down the road?
Like I said, with the Chargers staying put, I wouldn't be surprised, or I wouldn't be mad. What I think they should do is, if they have 2, question marks, you could say, it would be quarterback, because we haven't seen Tyrod play in a couple years. And then the middle linebackers aren't as great as the rest of their defense. So how dope would it be if they went and got an Isaiah Simmons or something like that, just to plug into the middle of the field, like a freaky athlete kind of guy to just run around and clean up whatever gets past those edge rushers or that new nose tackle they just got. Like
you would have a bigger Darren James at linebacker, right?
Essentially,
It's kind of scary to think. It's kind of scary to think about. 2 Darren Jameses out there on the field. One as an upper level and one as a deeper level.
Yeah, one playing
kind of terrifying.
One playing center field and one playing shortstop, essentially. Like,
yeah,
it's. I wouldn't mind seeing that. And then they still have their second round pick. They can just turn around and get like a Jake Fromm or Eason. Like,
yeah.
I'm not mad about those because then it's the same situation. Like, Jake Fromm's a safe pick, and he's won a lot in college. Like, he's the kind of guy where you put all these kind of pieces around him. It's a recipe for success. And I think that he might not light up, turn into, everybody says Patrick Mahomes. Well, Patrick Mahomes is like the pinnacle of like athleticism and like decision making. Like, you almost never get all of it in one package. Like Aaron Rodgers, maybe.
Yeah.
But I think you can win with like a Jake Fromm or a Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah.
So 100%. I think that they'll trade up and go for Herbert because a lot of people are saying they really, really like him. But I think they should stay put, shore up the defense, and just ride with Tyrod and pick up a Jake Fromm for the future, or for if Tyrod gets hurt or just doesn't work out.
I like that. I like that scenario. But then again, I don't question or, not really question, but I'm a fan of them moving up and getting the quarterback they want. If that's what they want to do it. I'd rather you have conviction in your pick than what you want to do than sit back and say, oh, well, we're going to take either Herbert or Tua, whichever one doesn't go to the Dolphins. I don't like that move.
Right. The logic is there, and they're two different teams where Miami's not looking to try and win 10, 11 games like the Chargers were last year. The Chargers feel like they are this piece away from being a contender like we were talking about as far as scenarios with the Saints possibly trading up. If they think they're that piece away, go get it. Like, we've seen Andy Reid go get his guy before, and obviously it worked out. They just won the Super Bowl. So if they're looking across the street, like, why not be aggressive? Go get the guy that you really like. Don't wait and be like, oh, well, he fell to us. I guess we'll take who we can get. It's two different scenarios where Miami doesn't want to be aggressive. They're just kind of check the boxes, where the Chargers should go get what they think they need, whether it's middle linebacker or it's a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think do what you're. I guess more of have conviction in what you're doing. Mm-hmm. If Herbert's who you want, make that call to the lines and go get him.
The only thing I could see if they waited for the linebacker is well, let's keep going because we're kind of dancing around to 6 and let's knock out 4 and 5. Okay,
so 4 I can't say his name, with the dude from Iowa,
Tristan Wirfs,
the offensive lineman. Yeah, I got him going to the Giants. I think a lot of other things I've seen are them taking Simmons. Now, I'm not going to say they won't take Simmons at 4 because the Giants have been really good in the last few years. Like, no matter who that pick is, when it falls to them, they take the best talent. Mm-hmm. Look at Saquon just the other year. They took him. And, I mean, here's also a team that made their move. They took Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
But I think that's the difference, is you've taken offensive players in the last 2 drafts, and you need to help those guys out. You need offensive line help.
They're proven commodities.
The best offensive lineman you can.
Right, they're proven commodities thus far. I mean, Saquon is arguably the best back in the league.
Yep.
And Daniel Jones had a solid season last year, man. I think that in a draft where I think that a lot of the high-end talent is probably offensive tackle or offensive lineman. And there's a lot of wide receivers. Like, they need receivers, but you can wait around and grab one a little later. Like,
yeah, receiver. We've been saying it when we went through every, division. This draft is deep with receivers. You're at the number 4 pick for a reason. You're not a receiver away from winning the NFC East.
No.
You're multiple positions. And I just don't think at that pick at number 4, if Simmons falls there, I don't think having one linebacker is going to make their defense better or make their defense good enough to win the NFC East. But an offensive lineman I mean,
It's
someone
just
to protect Daniel Jones.
it's just another
or
step in the right
Saquon.
direction. Like if they go,
Yeah, exactly.
if they go offensive lineman here with Wirfs, who's like a freak of an athlete. This dude can play pulling guard, tackle. He can do
Dude was a,
pretty much all of
he
it.
ran track. He ran track in high school. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, so I mean, like, go with him, pick up a receiver or something like that in the second round, and then just go get defense next year, dude. Like everybody's gonna be freaking out trying to go for offensive weapons again, probably because it's just the sexy thing to do. And then you can just go for the tackles on defense and the linebackers and see what you can pick up. Like we were talking about the Raiders a little bit, really checking the boxes in free agency with defensive talent.
Nice pieces.
Yeah, and it sets them up nicely for this draft here, and we'll get to that a little bit later. So at number 5, that's your final thoughts on Tristan Wirfs, right? I mean, he's just a good pick. I think so also.
Really good pick, yeah.
Yeah, so number 5, I think Miami's going to go with Tua. We talked about it when we were doing the AFC West, or East, excuse me. They got, they still have Josh Rosen.
Yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, you see what you got there. Everybody says Tua's healthy. I don't know, but either way, play it.
Why risk it?
Why risk it? There's no reason. Worst case scenario, you're in the same spot next year. You have Tua, and you don't have to worry about quarterback anymore, unless everybody freaks out like they do in the media and it's like, oh, we got to go get Trevor Lawrence now. Like you've got Tua. Just get to it. I mean, just like start have a clue. They put a lot of money in on their defense, and like we just said with the Giants, start checking those boxes. So their defense has got some pieces on it. Go ahead.
Yeah, and if the Chargers are going to be aggressive and they want their guy and they want Herbert, let them do that.
Yeah, they have a lot of picks still. Yeah.
You sit still at 5, and if they want Herbert, you take Tua, because you're not competing for, again, this is a team that's not competing for their division. They're not competing for a playoff spot. Get the best player available. And who did we think was going to be the number 1 quarterback drafted coming into, last college football season? It was Tua.
Right.
Get Tua. You can let him sit a year, or even if he doesn't sit the whole season, even if he plays late in the season because he is 100% healthy, go with that pick. Get your guy. This is why you sucked last year. You tanked to get Tua. You end up with the number 5 pick, and you could still get Tua.
Yeah, and that's kind of been what they've been building to all year. They trade Minkah Fitzpatrick. They traded Laramie Tunsil. They trade Kenyon Drake. They have all of the draft capital. Don't be your biggest worst enemy, right? Follow the follow the draft plan
or the process.
Yeah, trust the process, exactly. So I mean, go with Tua for the love of God. I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick is still serviceable. Just do it. So number 6, what we think they'll do. So this is you again, the Lions. What we think they should do. So we got the Lions here at 6. What are you looking at for them?
So, looking at it, I don't like them taking, how do you say the dude's name? I mess it up. From OSU.
Jeff Okudah.
Jeff Okudah, right. Sorry, I don't want to butcher his name.
No, it's fine.
I don't really like them taking Okudah at 3 or at 6 because you just traded away Darius Slay.
Right.
Go Simmons.
Yes.
If he's there, because the Chargers are not going to be aggressive and trade up to take Simmons, I don't think. If they're being aggressive, they're taking Justin Herbert.
Right.
Go Isaiah Simmons. Go with the best player available at that point. Mm-hmm. And get him. I mean, that's the better pick than Okudah for you, for your team. I think that the linebacker is going to be better for you in that division, especially when you look at what those teams in that division like to do. The Packers are not the Packers of 10 years ago where they were pass first, or when they won the Super Bowl. They're not a great pass team. They now have 2 really good running backs, and they rely on their running backs.
Yeah.
All right, that's not a passing team. the Vikings no longer have Stephon Diggs and they only have one receiver, but they
Right.
have a really good run game. Go get you someone who can help in a run game. Jeff Okuda's not going to do anything in the run game. Get you a
No.
linebacker.
Yeah, I agree totally. I like it a lot.
You changed me on that video. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes sense. Like, if you look at it, it's not. He's gonna attack the ball. The dude is a freak. He's an athlete, and that's kind of what the Patriots have done a lot of the time, and that's who their coach is now. I mean, so it makes sense to me. I like it a lot. And then you get a little bit more draft capital as far as the extra picks if the Chargers do trade up. So,
and again, the Lions are not one cornerback or one linebacker away from winning the Super Bowl or winning their division, getting to the playoffs. Man, take that extra draft capital. Get 2 third-round picks. You know, you got 2 third-round picks this year. Add some depth to your team. Go for it. You know, I think that's the better move than just taking one guy there.
and as far as Jeff Okuda goes, I think that you're obviously on the clock again here with the Panthers. I think that Okuda here personally would be not a bad pick because of the same reasons you just said not to take him for the NFC North. Where if you take him in the NFC South, where you look at the receivers, you got Mike Thomas, you got, I mean, the receivers are crazy. Mike Evans, Julio Jones, like Calvin Ridley, like a cornerback is gonna help you here. So I mean, for me, it makes sense to go Okuda, but it's your pick. So what do you think they're gonna do?
Man, I was just thinking that when I was looking at the team. And I was like, oh, man, Okuda. And, you know, we had talked earlier. It's like, man, maybe Okuda falls to number 9. I would like the Panthers to take him. That's one thing they've been missing since they had, Charles Tillman a few years. Charles Tillman at the back end of his career is a shutdown corner.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to do that, though. I feel like everything I've seen and what it looks like, probably going to go, Derek Brown.
Yeah.
I mean, they need on their defensive line. They lost quite a few guys on that defensive line. And again, with all the things Carolina has lost so far, I don't know if one cornerback is what's going to do it for them. I think they're going to go best. Yeah, I think they're going to go Derek Brown. But, you know, one move I would like to see, that's another team I think could move down and would be very helpful for them. Because you look at it, they also need a receiver. Curtis Samuel is okay. DJ Moore is all right.
Mm-hmm.
But if they were to move down with, say, let's say they move back with the Browns. The Browns move up and take an offensive lineman ahead of the Cardinals and the Jaguars. Right? I mean, I think that's a move that would make sense for both of those guys.
Yeah.
Because I think the Cardinals are going to take an offensive lineman right after the Panthers pick. So maybe the Panthers move back with the Browns and pick up a receiver at 10.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that would make sense. Again, get some extra draft capital. Like we said, although this draft is deep with receivers, I just don't know if Derek Brown's that guy that's going to do it for him in the NFC South. And I don't know if Okuda is either.
Well, right, but they have so much that they need to address on defense.
Yeah.
Like, they have traded so much away where you got to start somewhere. And I think that if you go Derek Brown, it's probably the safest bet. Just put that anchor in front of everything and let him just go wreak havoc. Let him go after Tom Brady and Drew Brees, who are older quarterbacks, and just trying to eat.
And we've seen that pressure right up the middle has always been the weakness for both of those guys.
Right.
You know, Brady doesn't move as well out of the pocket. He moves very well in the pocket, but if you get up in the pocket, he doesn't do well. And Drew Brees is a shorter guy. He can't see over that.
Yeah, and this dude's huge, and his arms are so long. Like,
yeah,
it makes a lot of sense.
I think that's the move for them. Derek Brown is a really good choice, but like I said, it's a move there where I think they could move back to 10 and still get the player they want, or still get a player they need. Because is Derek Brown going to? I mean, maybe he goes at 9 if he's there, but yeah, I'd say Derek Brown 7 to the Panthers, which leads us to 8.
Yeah,
and
you're rolling. You got another one. The Cards are on the clock.
I feel like I'm just going to talk forever because I got the one after that too.
That's right. You're welcome. I feel like I'm usually the one talking forever.
So I'm going to go Wills, offensive lineman from Alabama. Again, this is a pick that just makes sense. Like, the Cardinals are in a really good position. They already have their number one pick for this all season, and we've mentioned it every draft or every one we talked about. And your number one pick this offseason was DeAndre Hopkins.
Right.
Congratulations, you get an A+.
Yeah.
Now go get your number 2 pick and get an offensive lineman. You got some really nice talent on that offense. Get some protection for Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray looked pretty damn good last year for a rookie. I mean, he looked pretty good for any quarterback, but especially for a rookie. Get him an offensive lineman, some protection. Let him throw that ball to DeAndre Hopkins, Larry Fitzgerald, Christian Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the pick. You got to go offensive lineman.
Yeah, I like that. I also like Mekhi Becton there, also the right tackle.
Yeah.
Just because Kyler Murray is a mobile guy, he could lock down that right side of the line, and that's the way Kyler Murray would roll. So, either one of them there, I can't argue with. We said it obviously with the Giants, like, protect your commodity, like give Kyler Murray time to get DeAndre Hopkins the ball, and just let that thing work itself out. So, yeah, it's definitely a good pick as far as I'm concerned.
And that leads me to number 9. We have the Jaguars. And since Jeff Okudah hasn't been taken and he's fallen out of the top 5 in our draft, I think it's a really good spot for him. You just lost 2 cornerbacks. You traded them away. Go out and get you a guy.
Yeah.
I mean, Jeff Okudah's there. Go for it. He's obviously at this point he's the best player available at 9.
Yeah,
best talent available.
As far as that division goes, you look at the caliber of receiver again. Like, a Jeff Okudah there could just go there and thrive. Like, he's gonna help a defense like that. Maybe more so than like if he went to the Panthers and had to like play those veteran quarterbacks and those monster receivers. Where the biggest threat at receiver there is probably an aging T.Y. Hilton. So, I mean,
I don't know. A.J. Brown was pretty good last year for the Titans.
Sure, but he wasn't like, mean, going by fantasy numbers. He wasn't a world beater.
No.
But, yeah, I really like him there. And we kind of said it, like, why trade one guy to get the same guy, essentially? But a younger version, save you some cap as far as the Lions, where you lose 2 of them. All right, now there's kind of a glaring need. It's a little different. So I agree with the pick there. As far as Okudah goes.
Yeah. And which brings us now to you finally get to make a pick at number 10.
I get a few in a row, yes.
The Cleveland Browns.
The Browns, I could see them taking Mekhi Becton here. I've seen people talking about them trading back with maybe Tampa Bay to get somebody here, or Atlanta, or everybody thinks that the Saints are going to go crazy and trade up for Jordan Love. And we talked about it. Like, why trade up for next year or the year after if you're the Saints? When there's another playoff seat available, and 2, you guys have been winning an assload of games lately. Like, even though you haven't really gotten over the hump as far as into the Super Bowl, are you a Jordan Love away? We've said it, like, no.
Yeah.
Help your team. Help your team like the Chargers are trying to help themselves right now. So at number 10, I think that I could see the Niners maybe trading up, or I could see Denver or someone who wants to get in there and get the receivers before the Jets and the Raiders get going.
Yeah.
But the fear that the Cleveland might have is that Tampa Bay will get the tackle or the guard that they want. So I think that I'm going to stick with Mekhi Becton here going to Cleveland.
And I think that that's a really good pick for Cleveland. Man, last year one of the biggest problems was it just looked like Baker wasn't comfortable.
Right.
And part of that was the offensive line. Part of it was sometimes he had no time to throw. He had no time to sit there and go through his reads. And you don't take a quarterback number one and then get him no help. Like, that's not going to help you out. But it is Cleveland. So I wouldn't be surprised if they said, screw it, and went with a receiver. I mean,
they've done dumb shit before. But one thing that we did say that I just remembered off air was that as far as the Saints helping themselves, what if they I could see them maybe doing it, or else I would love to see it. I don't know if they'll do it. If they trade up here to get
take a receiver,
to get a T. Higgins, man, or not T. Higgins, excuse me, Henry Ruggs, to get Henry Ruggs, dude, that burner, and I think that people are a little lower on him as far as picking him because he's gonna go like the guys that are coming up as far as the Jets and the Raiders. They're looking for that more complete receiver where he can be the number one guy. And Ruggs didn't get a whole lot of touches and love, but he showed all that promise. And the dude's dumb fast.
And if you're the Saints, you're not like you have
Mike Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders. Like you have so many weapons there that are sure-handed. Where if you march,
have the room to make that, to kind of take that risk. Whereas the Jets and the Raiders don't. They don't have another receiver where they can say, okay, cool. Yeah, we're going to go get Ruggs because we have Mike Thomas. You don't have Mike Thomas. The Saints do have Mike Thomas, and they do have those other guys.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. I think if they're going to trade up for number 10, I don't want to see them. It's the same thing I said with the Chargers. I don't want to see the Chargers trade up to number 3 to take a linebacker.
Right.
If you're going to trade up, go in for it to win this year. So if the Saints are going to trade up to number 10, do not take Drew Brees' predecessor. Take someone that's going to help him win.
Well, right, and you see what they can, like, they get Taysom Hill touches, and they get him touchdowns and yards, and they put him in situations to succeed.
And he's a guy.
Yeah, I mean, he just seems like he's like a solid. He seems like he's like honestly, like a Tim Tebow kind of dude. Where this Henry Ruggs dude, he's like a Percy Harvin kind of dude. Like, put him in situations. Put that dude in situations to win, and he's gonna eat, man. Like end arounds, we see like it's a copycat league. You see people doing it all the time with like Odell Beckham. Maybe not as much as Tyreek Hill, obviously, because that dude's a freak of nature also. But I think it'd be super cool to see them be aggressive like we were talking about and going to get like a Ruggs. But I don't know if they will. I think that Cleveland stays put, gets Becton, and then that takes us to the Jets. And I think that the Jets go CD Lamb here and get just that wide receiver, get that wide receiver one and get him a little more something to work with as far as Sam Darnold goes. And if it doesn't work out, that sets him up for next year's draft.
Yeah, and I think CD Lamb is definitely the pick here at number 11 for them. I don't know who else they're really going to go with. If they, you look at that team, and again, this is another team that took a quarterback high in previous drafts, and you do not take a quarterback high and then give him no weapons or no protection. You have to give him one or the other.
Well, one thing here,
CD Lamb he's a weapon. He needs a weapon.
One thing here is that if they were to trade up and Mekhi Becton falls to them, their offensive line is not very great. One thing that Le'Veon Bell thrived with in Pittsburgh was the good offensive line. And he was able to kind of do that zone running to the best of its ability. So one thing here is maybe they take Mekhi Becton if Cleveland isn't there to pick him up. But they don't have any wide receivers, bro. I mean, Robbie Anderson's gone now. I don't see a scenario where they don't take one of these top, CD Lamb or him, 1A, 1B kind of dudes. Yeah, CD Lamb or Jerry Jeudy. So that takes us into the Raiders, and I've already got it written down. I think they go Jerry Jeudy here. We talked about checking the boxes, and they did that in free agency, and they got a lot of decent talent on defense, And I think now it's really seeing what you've got. Like, get the weapons for Derek Carr. Let him show. Or Mariota. Let Derek Carr show John Gruden that he is or isn't that guy. Let himself play out of the job. They got the running back. They got Darren Waller. They got the slot guy in Renfro. Go get your number one receiver. So I like CeeDee Lamb here. Or, Jesus. I like Jerry Jeudy here.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's 100% the pick. I've seen other ones where it's like, oh, they're going to take Jordan Love. I just don't. You already have 2 quarterbacks on your team.
Yeah, you signed.
You're not going to win the game.
Yeah, you signed Mariota to that big. It's not a big contract, but it's 2 years, $18 million. Yeah. Like, you're not just going to eat that money just to have 2 quarterbacks sitting on your bench for this rookie.
And they already had Nathan Peterman. They brought him back. What are you going to do with 4 quarterbacks on your team and no receivers? The quarterback can't throw the ball to the other quarterbacks. Right. That's not how this game works. Go get you a receiver. Go get you someone you thought you had last year with Antonio Brown. Get you a Jerry Jeudy. And like you said, you already got some other pieces around it. That's the pick. You helped your offense. You added a Jason Witten to go with Darren Waller. That's a pretty good 1-2 tight end combination. I mean, look, Jason Witten is not the number 1 guy anymore, obviously. But as a backup to Darren Waller, I mean, that's, he's going to score like 2-3 touchdowns this year?
Right, he's just another option, sure, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's a sure-handed guy that in certain situations you can look for him. But go get your number 1 receiver. That's the move here.
So the Raiders are here. Oh, not the Raiders, Jesus. The Niners are here at 13 from the DeForest Buckner trade.
Yep.
What do you think?
And I think they got to go, if Ruggs is there, I think you go Ruggs. I think when you watch the team in the Super Bowl, they don't have, they're like when you actually look at the teams, they have less weaknesses than the Chiefs, right? Their secondary is good. Their defensive line is good. Their offensive line was solid. Their running game is good. Quarterback play was the problem, and receiver play, not having the number 1 guy. I like Deebo Samuel a lot, but you throw in a Ruggs, and now you have 2 guys like that, 2 guys with speed, 2 guys who could make a couple guys miss and take it to the house.
Yeah.
Give it.
Yeah.
I mean, you lost Emmanuel Sanders. Go get you another receiver.
And that's another thing, too, is as far as Kyle Shanahan goes, like, we've seen him do it in Atlanta with the 2 running backs there, Tevin Coleman and Devonta Freeman, where they were both fantasy relevant as far as that being the scale of measurement as far as, production.
Yeah, and you got Mozart, and still has Coleman in San Francisco.
And so. I mean, they were all productive. He's gonna find ways to get you the ball if you can make things happen. And I think that in the same sense as Sean Payton going and getting him, I think that the Niners picking him here makes a lot of sense. Also, another thing, I wouldn't be surprised if they did take a D lineman to kind of shore up that little spot because that's obviously a small hole they have now, but they have another first-round pick, which they could probably pick that up there. So, I like it. Henry Ruggs. 14, I would just put TB12 because it's basically Tom Brady's team now. Everybody else can just get out of the way. So, who do you got Tom Brady taking here at 14?
I think Tom Brady's going to take... I think they're going to go Andrew Thomas, offensive lineman from Georgia.
Yeah.
Again, this is a team with... When you actually watch Tampa Bay last year, their running game wasn't bad. We've mentioned it before. Tom Brady has... This might be the most amount of weapons Tom Brady has had on an offense since 2006 when he had... Or was it 6? No. 2009. Whenever he had Randy Moss and all those guys. Mm-hmm. This is the most talent he's had at weapon positions since then. Go get you an offensive lineman to keep him clean. Give him time to make those throws. Give him time to find Mike Evans, to find Godwin. I mean, yeah, I think offensive line's the move.
But
yeah.
I doubt that he is. If someone trades up and takes the Browns spot, though, and it's like I said, I think that the Browns would fear that maybe and stay put. But if they're coaxed into it and they go for maybe like a tier 2 kind of line, offensive lineman, Becton here makes sense also. But I also saw that just like for as far as Andrew Thomas's sake, Georgia had arguably the best line in college football last year, and Andrew Thomas was the best lineman on that line. So
yeah,
obviously it makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I'm with it.
All right, it leads us into the Broncos at number 15. They really need receivers, but as we just went through, the top 3 are gone. What are they going with?
Yeah, I think that maybe that is kind of the thing. Like, these receivers are so deep, but they just saw him fly off the board. Yeah. And as far as looking at what you have, with Drew Lock, I think that maybe they do go receiver here. Kenneth Murray's sitting there, and that makes a lot of sense for me. Clavon Chason is sitting there. He's going to go get after the quarterback. I mean, maybe that's what you want. The dude's really, really good. Or Kinlaw is there.
Kinlaw, yeah.
They all make sense, but I think maybe they get a little scared for seeing these receivers fly off the board. So I think that maybe they reach a little bit and go after Justin Jefferson here. Justin Jefferson or T. Higgins. I'm gonna say Justin Jefferson, man. That dude ate, and if he's got, you saw him do it in college with Joe Burrow. So if Drew Lock is even an umph of Joe Burrow, then you'll know it with this guy here. And then they have
Cortland
Sutton, Noah Fant. They got the running back. Like, the weapons are there. If he's your quarterback, you'll know by the end of the year. So I think that the wide receiver here makes the most sense for me.
I think that really does make a lot of sense in that position. And like you said, you're going to know by the end of the year if Drew Lock is your guy. And guess what? If he's not your guy, you're probably going to have a high draft pick next year. Mm-hmm. So, why not find out if he is your guy? Yeah, give him the receiver. I like that pick. I like that pick a lot. Now, I don't really think that's I don't think that's a huge reach just because of that defense is still really good.
Yeah.
And they were only, a game or two out of the playoffs last year, so.
Right, and
yeah, I like that
right,
pick.
And that's the other thing too, is they're adding that other playoff spot. So if Drew Lock is their guy and they're only capable of, say, 8-8, 9-7 kind of football, that could get you in the playoffs. Like we talked about it when we were breaking it down. 8-8 gets the Steelers in, and the Steelers looked so bad last year. So, I mean, yeah, it makes sense to me. Just figure out if this is your dude or not. And if he's not, when you bring in the next guy, he has a shitload of talent around him. So here is the Atlanta Falcons. They're pretty near to you. So what do you think they're going to do here? They're one of the weirdest teams in the league, right? Because one year they're so bad, and then the next year they're so good. And last year was kind of the culmination where both of them met. Like, they were so bad. Yes.
And they were so good to end the season. Mm-hmm. Dude, I have no clue. Honestly, I'm looking at this pick, and I don't know, because we still have C.J. Henderson there. He would be a good pick for him. There's Chasen would be a good pick. Kinlaw would be good. You even look at it in someone like Ruiz or Jones would be a good pick for him, an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if they don't move up to get one of the higher offensive linemen, I could see them just going best player available. And I think if C.J. Henderson is there, I think they're going to go Henderson.
Yeah, we talked about the wide receiver talent in that division, obviously, and that's just going to be some help. They have decent corners. We talked about it a little bit at the beginning, as far as what's more important, keeping those guys covered or getting after the quarterback. And I personally, if they went for the edge rusher,
nope, me either.
If they went with Chason or if Kenneth Murray or something like that, just because those two guys that they're competing against, as far as Tom Brady and Drew Brees, are a little older, they can kind of pin their ears back and just go get them. But yeah, C.J. Henderson makes sense. The dude's a freak of an athlete. Some people think that he's even better, or he should be higher rated than Jeff Okuda. So yeah, so I definitely understand that. So if you're going Henderson there, it makes a lot of sense to me.
All right, now we got my boys, the Cowboys, picking at 17, and I've seen stuff where they trade back and pick up a defensive back. I don't know if that's the move here. I think you lost Robert Quinn, and you have to find an edge rusher. So if the Falcons take C.J. Henderson, I see the Cowboys taking Chase on because that's what they need. They need someone on the opposite end of DeMarcus Lawrence. I don't know how much you're going to be able to get. Like, I don't know realistically if Alden Smith or Randy Gregory are actually going to play next year. The Cowboys signed both these guys, and they're appealing to play. You can't count on those guys. You need another edge rusher, and I think that's the move there.
Yeah, I agree. And you kind of want to shore up that defensive line, just looking at what's in the division, like we've talked about. Like, you want to play your game and make the team your way and make the other teams adapt to you, but the Eagles want to run the ball, even if they haven't been successful at it last year. Obviously, Saquon, the Giants want to run the ball. The lack of receiver that the Redskins have, I mean, they're going to want to run the ball.
Corner.
Right, yeah. So, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. And then, like, the top-tier teams that they're going to be competing against, if they think that they're as good as they were 2 years ago, they're going to want to go after and get the Aaron Rodgers, the Tom Brady's, the Drew Breeses, once it gets to, say, the playoffs or those out-of-division games. So I definitely feel it there.
And another thing we haven't mentioned is the Cowboys have,
right.
And if that offense is clicking and you're up by 2 to 3 touchdowns, I mean, what better way than have an actual pass rusher who's going to get to the quarterback when they're passing it?
Yeah,
right.
I agree. It's just to add to your point there. One of the stats I had on 2 years ago with the Chiefs when they lost to the Patriots in the AFC title game was that Kansas City's, everybody would like to knock their defense. Like, their defense isn't so good. I mean, you saw the points that they got hung on them 2 years ago, and you can understand that. But they were tied for first place when it came to sacks because Mahomes was such a freak that year that teams had to do exactly what you're saying. And those guys got to go eat, and they just did. So it makes a lot of sense there. So to your point, I agree with that.
Yep. All right, so you got 18, and the Dolphins are back on the clock.
The Dolphins are here again. So we're checking boxes and all that like we talked about. They could go lineman here, like we were saying, build around a thing, and you're probably not going to win it all this year. So next year you can address some things. But yeah, I think it's Kenneth Murray here. If Kenneth Murray falls to the Dolphins here, I think that they wouldn't be mad. So go get you a linebacker to compete with anybody. I mean, they're the guy's super good. He's just going to start week 1. So I mean, Murray makes a lot of sense to me there.
I think the best player available makes sense just in general for the Dolphins. Like, again, you're not one player. You're not 2 first-round picks away from the playoffs. Don't overthink this. Whoever you pick, if it's Kinlaw, he's going to be better than whoever he's replacing, right? If it's Murray, he's better than who he's replacing. Get whoever you think is the best player for your system. And if it's Murray, I'm cool with Murray going there. That makes a lot of sense to me.
The Raiders are back up here.
So I think when you look at the Raiders, I saw the move where they had talked about them moving up to take a quarterback earlier. I just don't think that makes sense because if they move up to take that quarterback, all the top 4 receivers could all be gone. Maybe they get lucky and Jefferson's there, but I don't think so. So what are you taking?
Well, they have more defensive talent there, but they just invested a lot of money there. I think that it's the same kind of situation, I think, with Denver, where you're trying to keep up with Kansas City, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's really a daunting task, but the best way to figure out what you have is to surround your guys with talent and you kind of talked me into it, and I think that T. Higgins going here, double down on the wide receivers, man. Then you don't got to worry about it ever again. Well, maybe not ever again. You know, if these guys both work out, you know, you'll see. And then if Derek Carr doesn't work out and Mariota doesn't work out, then you're set up for next year. You could even maybe trade one of them to move up in the draft next year and go for a Trevor Lawrence or whoever's available up there. So I think that T. Higgins here works out. And for Philadelphia, they're sitting pretty sorry because I know a lot of people in Philly are looking like loving the receivers, but there's a lot, so you could still get one.
So you got Higgins going to them?
Yeah, man, I love Jerry Jeudy and T. Higgins here. I think that's a scary combination going with the run game and the defense that they've put together. And how happy are you if this happens and you're Darren Waller, man? Because that dude got double covered like a motherfucker last year toward the end of the season.
Yeah, and I'm really happy because, you know, it means possibly one of the top end receivers doesn't fall to the Eagles.
Well, with that being said, with the Jags.
It's funny that you said double down, and when you Fulton, the quarterback from LSU, will fall right to the Jaguars. And what better thing to happen is if you lose your top two corners than to pick two top corners in the draft, right?
Yeah.
I mean...
You like Fulton there?
I think...
I mean, Terrell Lewis is super good, too. Everybody talks about the wide receivers being super deep. There's a lot of good corners coming out this year, too.
Yes. There's a lot of good corners. I even think there's some good safeties. But I don't know if the safeties are great. I think they're good. I think the safety is deep. I just don't know if they're picked. They're not going to be picked yet. But I like Fulton there. Like we said, like I was just saying, the same thing with the Raiders can apply to the Jaguars. You lost, except for the Raiders, they didn't lose receivers. They just didn't have them. The Jaguars lost two cornerbacks. You have a chance here. If you can get a Kuda and Fulton, why not? You know, you're shutting down most offenses in that division, or most pass games in that division, right? Unless you want to go, I don't know, maybe they Gross Matos from Penn State.
Yeah, he's there. I think we still... Kinlaw's still there. They could plug him. Like, they need so much. But
I forgot. You know, if Kinlaw's still there, I think he's a really good pick. They lost a lot on their defensive line.
Yeah.
So maybe they go with a corner and Kinlaw. I'm going to change it. I'm going to say Kinlaw there.
Okay.
And I think that makes a little more sense.
Well, either way, I think it still makes sense if they go for a corner there because it's like we're saying, checking boxes and not have to worry about it for the future. Where Fulton's a guy that he's going to lock you down. Like, I'm playing you all night. Get ready to have some fun. And you're not going to because I'm a beast, and it just is what it is.
Yeah,
but then
I agree.
But as far as they've lost so much on their defense, I mean, Kinlaw is probably the best available. So I think that, going him there makes a ton of sense also.
Yeah, I agree.
Next is Philly, and I don't know what you're thinking for Philly is, but I do know that they were in the where did Darius Slay go?
Philly.
Did he? And that's kind of been their thing the last few years is their cornerbacks are so bad and you keep getting roasted. So you could reach it's not even a reach because there's so many good wide receivers. You've seen them at least in our draft kind of go the real big ones. You could reach into the some of the lower guys here and go with one of them, or like you just said, as far as Fulton, and really lock up that cornerback spot. So I'm not sure what you want to do here, but what do you think they're going to do?
I think they did get Slay, but I think Fulton's the move. I think all the other receivers are gone. If Philly's going to make a trade, maybe they would trade up for a receiver. I'd say Fulton.
Yeah, and that was kind of the thing as far as the receivers not being great last year, where it was highlighted more because they were getting roasted so much.
Yeah.
Where if you screw that up, you're going to get to play the game that you want to play, like I said before. And you saw it when they won the Super Bowl. They want to run the ball. And, yeah.
Speaking of cornerbacks again, I think you're going to see the Vikings go with another cornerback. I think they're going to go A.J. Terrell from Clemson. I know they need receiver help, but, man, they also lost a lot of cornerbacks.
Yeah.
And a lot of just a lot in that defensive backfield. So I think they're going to go A.J. Terrell there. Like, I mean, especially just with all the receivers that are already gone off the board, I don't know if they're going to reach for anyone there where they need that much defensive back help as well.
New England, the Tom Brady list, New England is up. I've seen some people talk about them trading. I think that you got to use some logic here, and I think that Bill Belichick could have a lot of fun with this guy. I mean, he drafted Jacoby Brissett, and I think that they're real similar. This guy's got a little more big arm talent.
Yeah.
A lot of people compare him to Mahomes as far as like the rawness and the ability. And I think that with the way offenses are going and the way that he can scheme a thing up, I know they lost a lot on defense, but he always kind of makes things work anyways. I think that Jordan Love is the way to go here.
I agree. Especially if he doesn't go with a Jameis Winston or a Cam Newton.
Right.
Why not go with? I mean, he just kind of falls to you here, right?
Yeah.
Like if Love's available, he just kind of falls to you. So why not go with him?
And if you're New Orleans, man, you're kind of sick about it because trading up to get Jordan Love is one thing, but if he falls on your lap like he almost just did, it's another.
Yeah, right? Like you kind of got to take him.
So, with that being said, the New Orleans Saints are up. What are you looking at here?
You know, we talked about if they don't move up to take Ruggs, Love is a person maybe they take there if he's available. I don't know. I would like to see them go with Taylor, the running back from Wisconsin here. Ooh. I mean, this is a team where the run game just didn't work that great with Kamara. To me, it didn't work that great with just Kamara as the number one guy.
Yeah.
It worked really well with Mark Ingram and Kamara.
Mm-hmm.
So why not go with another running back? Give Drew Brees another weapon. The receivers are gone almost. Go with Taylor here. I think he's a really, like you said, you watch him, he's a really good runner. What highlights I saw, he's good. Get another weapon.
Yeah, the dude had, like 6,000 yards in college?
Yeah. And then you're looking at it here where if he goes to, I don't even know who the other team's picking a running back. This one I'm looking at has no running backs going in the first round, but
I think if he makes it to Kansas City, he's going to Kansas City.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Kansas City would be a good pick for him, but I mean, you look at the other teams in the first round; they're not taking him really, but Kansas City, and it's just, I don't know, man. It makes a lot of sense to me. Go for it. You got Drew Brees for a couple more years. You can always grab a quarterback later, or if Tyson Hill's your guy, and you let Teddy Bridgewater walk, right? Maybe you do think Hill is your guy after Drew Brees. Go with a running back. I think that's what your team is missing. I think that's what their offense missed last year. Why their offense just wasn't as good as it was the year before is because they didn't have the other guy to go with Kamara.
Yeah.
So I say go Taylor.
I like it. You are back on the clock with Minnesota again.
And here's where I'm going to go with Gross Matos, the dude from Penn State.
Yeah.
I think that, when you look at the games last year, obviously Minnesota lost a lot. Again, with receiver, they traded Diggs. And you did lose a lot in the secondary, but you picked up A.J. Terrell. So why not go with a pass rusher? Mm-hmm. They couldn't really get to the quarterback last year, and that was a problem for them. Plus, they lost Everson Griffin, right? They lost him, so you got to replace someone on that line. Go with him.
Yeah, I feel it. Yeah, I mean, I like it. I mean, there's other teams in the division that are doing similar things with less. So, I mean, like Green Bay, they got the two running backs and Devonta Adams for the most part. So, I mean, I could see them making like just shore up the defense, keep your foot on the throat of like a oh my goodness,
Trubisky or the Lions
or Matt Stafford. Yeah, so
yeah.
I mean that's like we said, like the Vikings got a weird rap last year where it doesn't seem like they were very good, but they were in the playoffs. They had 10 wins, like they were a solid team. So
Yeah, and I mean, they played a pretty damn good first half against the 49ers.
Yeah.
I mean, they were in it for a little bit, so... Yeah, I mean, go with an edge rusher. That's kind of what you need. Get some pressure on those quarterbacks. Like you said, keep your foot on the throat of that division.
So that brings us back around to Miami, and I would like to see them... maybe they go Jones here, the offensive lineman. I think that's probably the pick for them.
I agree.
They went for best available before, and I think that now is the point where you take your lineman to just see what you got. Keep your injury-prone Tua off his ass, and just, So start checking those boxes. I mean, like we said, they traded away Laramie Tunsil, and this guy will slot right in, right where he was. So this makes a lot of sense for me here, especially with Jonathan Taylor gone. I think maybe they're looking at running back, but if it's not Taylor, or I just don't see them going running back here when they have so many issues. And they made some running backs work toward the end of last year. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree, and I think again this is a position where you're taking. It's like you've already taken two of their. They already got 2 picks before this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or 1.
Yeah, this is them done. They
got
3.
Yeah, this is their 3rd pick, man. You got your defensive line early. Go ahead and take your offensive lineman. Give Tua, like you said, give Tua some protection. And if Tua doesn't play at all next year, you got this offensive lineman. You got Jones to have a year in. So I like it. I think that's a solid move for them. And then I got the Seahawks here at 27, and I think they're gonna. I like them taking. Man, this is tough because that defense was very pedestrian last year.
Yeah,
it is no longer the Legion of Boom. It's very.
Even the linebackers are kind of lame, man. Like other than.
I mean, Bobby Wagner's probably their second best. He's probably the best player on that team. Like Russell Wilson gets all the love, but let's be honest, Bobby Wagner's their best player.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of ways they can go. Maybe they go with Jalen Johnson, cornerback from Utah, or maybe they go with Zach Bond, the linebacker from Wisconsin. Or wait, no, there's still Patrick Queen available too, right?
Yeah, Patrick Queen's there.
Maybe they go Patrick Queen.
Yeah, they
I'm
could.
gonna say Patrick Queen. Yeah, I'm gonna say Patrick Queen there at 27. I mean, they need linebacker help. They need defensive help. Yeah, and again, in a division where the 49ers are very much so run the ball down your throat, what better way than have another linebacker who can help stop the run?
Yeah, I totally agree. Actually, if you weren't going to take him, I was going to pick him up here with Baltimore at 28. So, let me see. I think that if that is the case, I'll probably go... They were so successful last year with what they did with Lamar Jackson, but, I mean, they could use the linebacker, but I think that what they're going to do here at 28 is...
Take the best receiver available?
Yeah, I think that it's probably got to be... I think Chase Claypool will go. You got the burner when it comes to Hollywood Brown, and then you got your big body guy here in Chase Claypool. Just put more pieces around Lamar Jackson. See if he can get even crazier than last year. I mean, and he didn't do it with a ton as far as wide receiver. I mean, they had the tight ends going for a little bit, but this dude is still putting up numbers, and it was silly. So, I'm going to go with Chase Claypool out of Notre Dame.
Yeah, I like that pick. I definitely think they need a receiver.
And then next is Tennessee. They're looking pretty sorry as far as a lot of these cornerbacks falling the way that they did. but I think that they're probably going to go Diggs here. He's probably the next best corner available.
Trayvon Diggs, gotcha. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, their receivers kind of came on late in the year. They got Tannehill, so they don't need a quarterback. If Taylor's off the board, I don't really see them going with a DeAndre Swift or a Dobbins. So, yeah, cornerback makes a lot of sense.
That's a good point, too. I could see him going, maybe reaching for a running back here, or maybe they'll pick one up in the second round just because they decided to pay the wrong guy as far as Tannehill versus Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then next up, you got Green Bay. So, what do you think Green Bay's doing here?
I think it's kind of like we said before. Aaron Rodgers, he really only has one guy in Devontae Adams, right? They who went Geronimo Allison went to the Bears, right? So that's a receiver they're missing. Don't think I'm pronouncing the dude's name right. How do you say the guy from Arizona State, that receiver? Yeah, I'm going to go with Brandon Ayuk. I mean, they already have Devontae Adams on the outside. He's kind of a sure-handed guy. Man, it doesn't seem like Aaron Rodgers has had the weapons on the outside and receivers that he was used to having his first few years. So, yeah, give me Brandon Ayuk, receiver.
I mean, even at that, the pieces he had his first few years weren't, like, real, like, sexy. Like, they were sure things, but they weren't, like, really, like, scary threats. Like, Jordy Nelson, I mean, he only had big plays because Aaron Rodgers put the ball in a perfect spot. But he was more of a sure-handed receiver than this. If they get Brandon Ayuk, dude, he's gonna lift the top of that offense up, or that defense
and he's
up.
Gonna help the run. He's going to help the run game with Aaron Jones and I can't even think Jamal Williams.
Yeah.
So he's going to help the run game there, and then he's also going to help Devontae Adams underneath. So yeah, give me him.
Wonderful. And then next up is the 49ers.
The 49ers, and the 49ers have already got, their receiver that they needed. Again, they don't need too much as far as the team's, involved. So give me Jalen Johnson, the cornerback from Utah.
Okay.
I mean, just add to their defense, right? Like,
yeah, someone to play opposite of kind of Richard Sherman's getting a little older. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And it's me. The Chiefs.
And you with the Chiefs, the defending Super Bowl champions. Tell me, what do they go with here?
Well, I talked a little bit about it before. As far as the sexy pick, or they don't, they need a center. But does Andy Reid want a center? I mean, they need linebackers. But is Andy Reid going to go with a linebacker? I mean, he's kind of made it work and let things work out the way that they would with Mahomes just doing things. Like, just keep feeding the beast. They're returning 20 of 22 starters. So, I mean, if their offensive line was good enough last year, it'll probably be good enough this year, is my thinking. So what I think he might do is go running back. Jonathan Taylor, if Jonathan Taylor's gone, I would love to see him go Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That would be fucking awesome in this offense.
Yeah, I agree.
That Duke is just so shifty. He's very Kareem Hunt-esque, I think. He's got good hands, and he'll run somebody over, man. Like, as small as either him or J.K. Dobbins, either one of them, I'd really like to see. It's 1A, 1B for me as far as going to this offense. Or what I think they should do as far as just a depth chart standpoint is get Zach Braun from Wisconsin. They lost a lot of linebackers, and their linebackers weren't good to start with. Well, not a lot, but two of the missing pieces are linebackers. So I think I think Andy Reid's going to go for the big splash at 32, man. And then that's the other thing, too. We talked about it a little bit. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the pick here, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was J.K. Dobbins. That fifth-year option you get when you go for the first round, I think that's a big deal. And as far as running backs go, it's an even bigger deal because of how murky everybody is when it comes to paying these players that are coming out of the backfield. So as far as Patrick Mahomes goes, that dude's going to get his money. So what's more appealing than having a solid running back for that extra year? That or like a linebacker. Like, to me, it's going to be the thing that's going to be there with him longer and really influence Mahomes' game. So I think that the running back here makes the most sense to me. But I also wouldn't be surprised if they went for another wide receiver because Sammy Watkins is definitely gone next year.
Yeah, I agree. I think I would love to see them go with a running back. Dobbins would be cool. Hilaire would be great as well. I think any of those two just... It's like we said with the Saints. The Saints, picking at 24 or trading up. Like, I just don't like them taking a quarterback there because I hate the Saints, but I want to see them continue with what they got now.
Right.
And I think the same thing goes with the Chiefs. You're not missing much from this team. This team was good enough to win the Super Bowl last year. Yeah, you lost some pieces, but you still got the best quarterback in the league. You still got a top 5 receiver. You got the best tight end.
Right, and that's kind of the thing I'm looking at. Is
one of the best offensive coaches of all time, really.
I mean, they have one of the better defensive coaches right now also. I mean, so that's kind of what my thinking is like you can upgrade at this position. And, I mean, linebacker, you made it work last year. You didn't lose a lot. Like, you were bringing back 20 of 22 starters. Depth is cool. Injuries always happen, but, he had a plan with Kareem Hunt and being able to get a quality running back right here where Damian Williams is like 29 or almost 30. Like, he's right. His shelf life, like, as far as running backs go, he's about there. And he's not bad, but Andy Reid's always kind of been that dude who wants the number one guy as far as running back goes. Like, Brian Westbrook, LaShawn McCoy. He had Jamal Charles when he first got to Kansas City, Kareem Hunt. So, I mean, it just makes sense for him to want that there. Where for me, if I'm checking boxes, I would probably go with Zach Bond from Wisconsin. But I would love to just see, like, give more fireworks. I want all of it. Just keep feeding Pat Mahomes, man. Give Andy Reid all the toys. So.
And like we said, I mean, like we said with the Cowboys offense is going to put up points. The Chiefs offense is going to put up points. Right. So you already have a good defensive line that can get after the quarterback, and they've proven that. Why not be able to put up more points to help that defensive line?
Or even slow the game down, Like, if you get a quality back, like I was saying, just slow the game down a little bit.
Exactly. That works, too. I mean, being able to extend possessions, not scoring, 3 plays in on the drive.
Yeah, you could see they started doing that a little last year, and I think that it just wasn't as effective as they might have wanted it to be because of the kind of running backs they had. They had an older LaShawn McCoy. They had Damian Williams, who was okay. That's our draft. Let us know what you think. We had some kind of crazy picks in there. The 2 receivers to the Raiders and some other ones. New England taking the quarterback, I think, is the right choice, but I could be wrong. So let us know what you guys think. Reach out to us on Instagram or any way that you can. I have a different kind of yay or nay today. It's not really properly questions, but the sports books have come out with their projections for wins as far as the football, or as far as the teams go next year. So I'm going to shoot those at you, and you just tell me yay or nay whether you think it'll be, whether that's accurate or you'll think it'll be higher or lower.
Okay.
So to start, we'll start at the bottom. The Skins are at 4.5.
Yeah, I think that's about right. I think they're going to have to nail their draft to be better than 4.5. Haskins has no receivers to throw to, so Yay.
Yeah, and they're in a bad spot. Like, we talked about Miami really unloading and the Jags did the same thing. Like, just getting that draft capital, and then you might not have a vision or a plan yet, but after this draft you will. Like, you'll have an identity, and then when you go into the next year, you'll be building onto your team. At least in a sense. Miami's been real bad for a long time. So,
yeah.
Same position, Jaguars at 4.5.
Yay. The Jaguars have lost a ton of just, I mean, what, they lost Marcel Darius, they lost Calais Campbell, they traded away Boyu, Jalen Ramsey's no longer there.
Ahue? AJ Boye?
Boye, that's it, dude. Try to say it really quick. You traded away him, you traded away Jalen Ramsey. Yeah, 4.5 seems about right.
Yeah, and Tom Brady going there doesn't help your causes either. Bengals at 5.
Nay, I think lower. I don't think Joe Burrows. Yeah, I don't think Joe Burrows is just going to make that big of a difference. Not when their defense was as bad as it was. Not when the Steelers are. Regardless of where Ben is, the Steelers are going to be better than 8-8 next year, just because Ben is better than Mason Rudolph or Duck Hodges.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows? I mean, if the Browns finally made a good head coaching change, you have 3 teams there who could fight for a playoff spot. And the Browns, the Steelers, and the Ravens, all 3 of those teams have playoff talent. So, no, I don't see the Bengals winning more than 5 games.
Panthers at 5.5.
No.
Giants.
I don't know what.
Go ahead.
I don't know what the hell the Panthers are doing. They've lost a lot again. Is Bridgewater your guy? Is Bridgewater better than Cam Newton?
Right.
No.
Giants at 5.5. Or 5.5, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can see that. I actually think the Giants are going to be a little better this year. I can see them winning 6, 7 games. No, 5 or 6.
Dolphins 6.
Nay.
Lions 6.5.
If they keep Matthew Stafford, yeah.
Jets 6.5.
No.
All right. So, yay or nay? Raiders 7 wins.
Yay, that seems about right.
Cardinals 7.5.
Ooh, that was our sleeper pick for that division.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say yay.
You think 7.5?
Yeah. About 7 or 8 wins seems about right.
Hell no, 9 or 10. Give me that. Sticking with them. The Falcons at 7.5.
I don't know, man. Like, what? I really don't know. Could they win 13 games next year? Sure. Could they win 4? Yep. Somewhere in between.
Rams 8.5.
No.
I think that's high for them, right? With everything they've lost.
I feel like it. I feel like with everything they've lost and it, kind of seeing how other teams have adjusted to Sean McVay, yeah, it seems high.
Packers 8.5.
Seems low, doesn't it? Like, yeah, I'm going to say nay for that because I don't see anyone in that division taking the step to beat them.
Right. Bears 8.5.
Yay, that seems about right.
Here's a tricky one. Chargers 8.5.
I'm going to say yay because that division, I think that division, everyone under the Chiefs is just going to kind of beat up on everybody else.
Yeah.
No separation.
Titans 8.5.
Nay, I think the Titans will win more. I think the Texans have taken a step back, and the Jaguars have obviously taken a step back. And I don't really see the Colts threatening them.
That takes us to the Colts 8.5 also.
Yay. Seems about right for the Colts.
9-7, 8-8. I can see that also.
Yeah.
The Browns at 8.5.
Ooh. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yay, I think they have the talent, to win 9 games, 9 or more, but it's the Browns.
Right. They might be in a worse spot now that they have some talent because they're in like limbo. They're not getting any more top draft picks.
Yeah, it's going to be on coaching next year. Like this coming up season is going to be huge coaching wise for them.
8.5 for the Pats.
I'm going to say nay. I think more just because, again, the Jets and the Dolphins, man, they get 4 games against them. So
9 for the Bucks.
Yay. Again, we have no clue with the Falcons, and the Panthers are, I think, going to be pretty damn bad next year.
9 for the Vikings.
Nay. I think the Vikings have lost a lot. Again, I think they've lost too much to really compete with the Packers and the Bears in that division. I think they'll finish with like 7 wins.
9 for the Steelers.
Yeah. I mean, they won 8 last year with
nothing.
Mason Rudolph, yeah.
9 for the Bills. You think they take a little step back?
Yeah, I could see a step back. I don't see them taking a big step back, but maybe 1 game.
9.5 for the Seahawks.
Nay.
I don't think so either.
That's an aging defense that was already bad last year.
Mm-hmm.
So, nay.
9.5 for the Eagles.
Oh, man, the NFC East is so tough to pick between the Eagles and the Cowboys. Like, what Carson Wentz are we getting?
Right.
What Mike McCarthy, Dak Prescott combination are we getting? Although both teams do get to play the Redskins and the Giants 4 times next year, and those were, 4 wins for the Cowboys. Half the Cowboys' wins last year were the Giants and the Redskins.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
So, yeah. Throwing the Dolphins for win number 5. Yeesh.
So what do you think for the Eagles? 9.5.
I'm actually going to say nay. I think they're going to take a step back.
That takes us right into the boys, 9.5.
Nay. I think 9. I think 8 or 9. I don't think that division got much better this year, so nay.
The Niners, 10.5.
Yay. I do think with the Cardinals getting better, that's going to hurt the Niners in that division. And they're going to play tougher teams, like we said.
Mm-hmm.
So that seems about right.
Saints, 10.5.
Yeah. Easy division. I mean, play the Panthers and, well, again, we don't know with the Falcons, but.
The Chiefs at 12.
Yeah. I don't really see them taking a step back this year.
I think they could win more.
Yeah.
The Ravens at 12.
Yeah. I mean, I think if they add another offensive piece of receiver, that offense is going to be just as good next year. I
agree. Well, this was all the football. Thank goodness, because we're milking it, man. No sports. We're milking it for as much as we can.
It's been great talking about this, though.
Yeah, I agree. Let us know what you think your team will take, or if you think they'll have more wins than we said.
And if you have any, I want to hear, like, if anyone has any crazy suggestions. As you heard during others, we were all for the craziness. Let us know. Like, if you think the Saints are going to say screw it and jump up and take Jordan Love, tell us why. Or if you think the Pats are going to go all in and take one of these other top quarterbacks, tell us. We want to hear these things.
Yeah, let us know anything as far as the draft goes that you think, something we missed, something that you disagree with, any of it. Yeah, we love the feedback. So thanks again for listening. This is the Adventuruss podcast. I'm Kyle. He's BMAC. Remember to love each other, love yourselves, and stay adventurous.
And we out.